All right. Hello, hello, and welcome back to the show. I am Lindsay Hack, your host, and I have another fabulous guest joining us today. And rather than butcher anything of what she might be doing and what her passion is, I am going to pass it over and get her to introduce herself. So, welcome, Leks, to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. I'm Leks Vucko. I am a nervous system and freedom coach. I help women work with their nervous system to create the life and the future that they want instead of feeling stuck, instead of feeling like they've done everything they can and they're not getting the results that they want.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, we were actually introduced by a common colleague, friend, and so we got connected last week, and we were just started talking. And of course, we're like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a great combination. We have so many fun things already coming out." But tell me a little bit about how you got into this. Like, what started this? Most people have some type of experience on their own experience that from that point of view. But how did you get into it?
Yeah, I find that all our things that we've went through is like we want to share with the world, and that was my story. I started in fitness, I started working out, and I was like, oh, everybody needs to know about this. And then that led me to be like, all right, we need to talk about nutrition. So I started really researching and learning about nutrition, and then I opened up a fitness studio and I offered all of that. And then through that and my own work, we started doing meditations and inner work and inner child and like all of that. And then there were still people who would get results, and then there would be still people who don't get results, or people who do get results while they're working with me, and then they go and then they contact me 6 months later, and they're like, "All right, I need to talk to you." So then I was like, "Why is this happening? Why are people not sticking with this?" And then the same with my life, right? Like, why am I not able to get to the goals that I want? Because I was all about hustle, like getting things done. And that led me to this whole life about mindset and brain work and how we operate. And then that still wasn't it because I was meditating, I was doing all these things, and I couldn't move forward in my life. And then I got to, I don't even know, like led to it, I guess. I fell into this like nervous system regulation. I started regulating my own nervous system. I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, this is the root cause of everything. And then just like when
Mhm.
I started fitness, I was like, everyone needs to know about this. So ever since then, I haven't been able to shut up about nervous system, basically.
I love that. I love that. Well, of course, I talk a lot about nervous system as well, but let's just pull that back a little bit because I think a lot of people hear that term regulated, irregulated nervous system, and they're like shake their head, nod, and they're like, oh, and they don't really understand what that means. So could you just take a second to kind of break it down in layman terms for the people who may, I always say, talk to me like I'm a 5 year old, like give me the
Yes.
details where I'm like, oh, that I got it. So just
Right.
break it down for us for those people who might be shaking their head, nodding along, thinking that they should know what this means,
Right.
but now you're going to kind of help us understand exactly what it
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. So, a couple things. Nervous system is determines everything in our life. How much money we're going to earn, where we're going to live, who our partner's going to be, who our friends are going to be. We think we make these decisions consciously, but nervous system has to put the foot down. Is this approved or not? And what it goes off of is safety. Now, people are like, well, of course it's safe for me to be rich and healthy and wealthy. Nervous system doesn't have logic. So that's another huge thing for people to understand. Because it has the final say, you need to understand how it works so you can speak its language. We know we want to be healthy. That's conscious. Nervous system knows what it knows, and that's considered safe because it's familiar. Anything unsafe is familiar. So you feel like, well, I know kind of what it feels like to be happy. Well, have you spent months or years feeling truly, really, really happy how you want to feel? No. Okay, so your nervous system goes, we don't really know what that feels like. This is also why people will notice this one. This is also why you all of a sudden you had a great day and you're like, you feel happy, you feel on top of the world, and all of a sudden you have this crazy thought from 20 years ago or a crazy ugly thought that scares you. And you just go, what just happened to me? I was so happy. I don't know what happened. Your nervous system went, okay, alarm, you've been too happy for too long. We told you that's not safe. Go back to your norm. So that's one thing to understand is your nervous system has the final say based on safety, and it doesn't work on logic. It doesn't matter how badly you want to lose weight, earn more money, feel good, feel happy. It goes based on what your past considers familiar. That's one thing. And second thing is when we talk about fight or flight, people are like, yeah, fight or flight, like you said, it's one of those terms that we use. Well, I'm going to speak on what they what they look like, because whenever I do that, people go, "Oh my God, you just described me." So fight is when they were looking for confrontation. Like that's where I spend most of my time, where I was like, just say something. Right? Even nowadays, when I'm doing all this work, I can still go down the street, and if I don't pay attention, my thought will go to, okay, that person, like watch that person, and we'll like make up things that happening as if something bad was going to happen. So fight is
Mhm.
just say something. I'm waiting for you. Just cut me off, right? Like just take my parking. Like I will. I have so much to say to you. Flight, which is the flee, is I'm busy. I'm busy all the time. I'm so busy. I'm getting one thing done. I'm getting the next thing done, and that one tends to feel good because we're like, I'm busy. I'm productive. Busy really means I'm so important. We're trying to tell ourselves we're important. And being productive means I'm not actually able to sit still, which is very scary for my nervous system because I don't know what calm feels like. So that's the second one. And again, that one is the most tricky one because it feels like I'm getting things done. Then we
Mhm.
have the freeze, which is I know my to-do list there, but I'm scrolling on my phone. I'm just gonna like I know it's there, but I'm just gonna try to ignore it and entertain myself with cats dancing on TikTok. And so we all know that one, which like we're just gonna escape the reality. That that can be even further shut down where we just feel numb. I don't even care. I don't care about my clients. I don't care about this world. I don't care about anything that like that's numbness. And the other one is fawn, which is people pleasing. I am going to say yes to everything. I'm going to jump into everything, whether it serves me or not. And it kind of goes together with staying busy in the flight, because if I stay busy, I'm going to need to say yes to everything and keep myself even busier. So I never think about feeling calm. So that's where I like to tell that to people because they go, okay, that kind of
Mm.
describes me. It's like, yeah, that's why we
Yeah.
have to slow down.
I was going to say, I think you probably described every single person I've ever met in my life in one way or another. And I think that's the big thing, right? We deal in a world of these are normal, right? I always say, like, people used to talk about the busy badge as a badge of honor. And it's like,
Yes.
no, I mean, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm so busy. Oh my God, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. It's like, okay, pause, have a moment, take a breath. But okay,
Yes.
so I love that. So let's talk about somebody comes to you, okay? And usually we know this, both you and I are coaches. They come to you thinking they want one thing, and we know they need something else. But let's say they come to you and they're like, okay, like I want to get fit. I need to lose some weight. I'm excited to, fit into my size, whatever jeans. Can you help me? What's this process? Like, how do you go from I want to get fit and fit into my size 6 jeans to actually realizing as you go through that there's somewhere in that deregulation place where, like, what do you do and is it a questionnaire? Are you talking to them? Are you just looking for trigger words that they're saying? Where does that go?
All of it. So I hear the words, right? Like we always hear how a woman is speaking to herself about her body, about herself. Saying they're busy all the time. Life happened. I never have time for me. I'm so busy. And then we go. Even before we even work together, I do have a little bit of a questionnaire, and some of the things I find out is how many things has she tried in the past. So as
Right.
soon as I know that she's tried things in the past, it's another diet, another thing, another this, another that, I'm like, all right, nervous system,
Mm-hmm.
because when we've done another diet and we think it's the new shiny object, it's like the new diet or the new workout regimen and a new thing, but we've never stepped back to look inside and say, okay, wait, I keep banging my head against the wall. If I keep doing the same thing over and over again, keep calling it a different diet, why would
Right.
it work this time? And then the brain has trained itself now to get triggered. Oh, she's going on a diet. Give her about 2 or 3 weeks. Let's lose some weight, and then we'll get her back off track. And usually,
Right.
they also search for motivation. That's another one that I see people go is I just don't feel motivated. I know what to do. I'm just not doing it. Those are usually the keywords to go. All right, we need to talk about nervous system.
Right, right. Yeah. And it's so, as I said, you're talking to pretty much almost everybody that we speak to on a regular basis. Okay. So let's say somebody comes to you and they are talking about losing weight and you're realizing very quickly that it's nervous system. Where do they start? So somebody's watching this and they're like, oh my gosh, Leks, or you're speaking my language. What's something that they could do? I really love creating these shows. So somebody could take something away and be like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I could try that. What's something that they could do to one, first of all realize that it is their nervous system versus necessarily the diet or the, the business or whatever. But what's something that they could physically or do in themselves to help them get to a place that could help them, when it comes to their deregulation of their nervous system?
So first thing I do is I become aware of their thoughts, right? Then we go into the body and go through emotions and physical. But the first thing is where are your thoughts throughout the day? Because, we are what we think, right? So we kind of all know that, but we don't really know our thoughts. And typically a woman would say, I kind of know where my thoughts are throughout the day. And then I put them on a 7-day mental diet. So 7-day mental diet
Mm.
has been written. It's a booklet. It's been written by Emmett Fox. You can Google it online and get it for free. And then I have them read that, and then we go through it and explain it. Because in the booklet, he's really strict. Like, you go on a diet and you're like watching every thought, and the moment you catch yourself at entertaining a thought, you got to start all over. And I tell them, okay, let's ease into it. This is also like man writing, hardcore thing. I should probably
Uh-huh.
do my version of it now that
I
I
was gonna
think
say
about it.
you should do your
Right.
own version, but yes.
I really need to, because it's just too much hardcore. I am more like, listen, you caught yourself in a negative loop, just get yourself back in, and let's go to something a little bit, gentler. But
Right.
every time we do this, after a few days, the said woman who was like, oh, I kind of know where my thoughts are, goes, okay, I kind of knew, but like I didn't know it was that bad, right?
Right.
And so that's
Right.
the first thing, is being aware of the thoughts. And then the second week we go into how do you feel, and then physically and emotionally in these moments, and then we start connecting it together. So it's not that thoughts are everything, it's that we need to start being of them, aware of them, in my opinion, first, because they unlock so much. Like they make a woman see, oh, my thoughts are way worse than I actually thought. Let me actually, now I can see why I've been
Mm-hmm.
feeling so crappy about myself, because I've been really shaming myself all week long in my body, and
Right.
running around in my head about how my husband is not good enough, and how the business is not going well, and all these things, right? And when they're aware of it, they go, oh wow, okay, I can see it now. Like, that's a moment when they
Mm-hmm.
go, all right, talk to me about that nervous system stuff.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, right? Awareness is such a the beginning part of anything, right? Whether it's food, exercise, business, relationship, financial, like it doesn't matter. If you're not aware where your money goes, if you don't realize you're spending $15 at Starbucks every single day, and then you're wondering where your paycheck went, right? As soon as you look to that and you see, oh my gosh, I'm spending $15 every day at Starbucks, that's the awareness piece. And so once you have that awareness piece, then you're able to kind of work with what you know, which I love so very much. So when somebody gets to the second week, for example, where they're now understanding their awareness and they're realizing, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how mean I've been to myself. If I always talk about, like, would you say that to your daughter? Would you say that to your best
Yeah.
friend? Would you say that to your mother? And of course the answer is no. I would die if I ever said that to my kids. I have 2 teenage daughters. I was like, oh my gosh. So it's like finding those things. And so now that you're aware of that, what comes next? How do you get to that point where you're, and I love that you said, you still find those days where you're like, cut me off, get ready, right? Because we all do that, right? And I say this all the time. It's not about perfection, it's about progression, right? So when I say, I work really hard at certain things, you work really hard at certain things, but there's still times where it's sneaky and it just like pops
Yep.
in and you're just like, oh, geez. And then you have to work
Yeah.
really hard to get it out. But for somebody who's not had any work on how to get it out or how to change that, now that they're just at the awareness stage, what comes next?
So the second week would be, where do you feel it emotionally and physically? Because we can feel it physically in the body, or we know the emotion, right? We have the emotional wheel, we go through that. And then it starts differing per person, right? So it depends on what they came to me for. It can be the diet struggle, it can be the body issues, it can be the money, like all that what you talked about, the money leaks or the energy leaks in their life. Some people come to me for health. Some generally the common one I see a lot is energy. I want to feel more energy. I feel fatigue all the time, right? So we go through this because to me these are the root causes, right? Like, oh, I've been thinking so crappy. Now I see that. Okay, oh, I've been really feeling it. I feel the tightness in my chest. Oh, I feel the knot in my throat. Like, one of the reasons I say most women have thyroid issues is because they've never learned to speak the truth. Be nice, right? Be quiet and being shut
Mm.
down. And it's one of those things that they've never been able to speak the truth. So energy stays there. So then they start noticing, oh, I noticed this. And it's like the most random situations, right? Like, I noticed at the grocery store, or I noticed with my husband, or I noticed this. And then they start, like you said, awareness is the first step. But then it's like, okay, now what? right?
Mm-hmm.
Now we actually have to learn what to do next, because it's like, now that I'm aware, I still don't know how to be kind to myself, right? Now
Right.
that I'm aware, I still don't know how to stop my money leaks. Now that I'm aware, I still don't know how to stop my energy leaks, because my mother-in-law calls me all the time and I don't know how to say no to her yet, right? So
Right.
like finding ways, and this is very now individualized, but two words that I think are going to change the world are firm kindness, right? I don't have to
Mm.
be an a-hole to tell you no. I can be very kind about it, but I'm firm on the no, right? I'm firm
Yes.
on I'm not letting that happen. I'm firm on my new boundary. I don't really like the way you talk to me, right? So firm kindness, because if we're still in survival, we can go into the right. If I'm in a fight zone, I'm like waiting for you to say something. But firm
Mm-hmm.
kindness helps me like understand. And then I teach individuals like breathing techniques, EFT tapping, and then again, it gets very individualized. Breathing works really well for a majority of people, but I've had a few clients who just can't take a deep breath because their body's in that state. So
Yep.
EFT tapping has been working really well for them. And then we go on and talk about who they need to become, right? Like, what's the next version of them? And I know you and I have talked many times about these identity shift, because you quite literally have to become someone new, and
Right.
we have to work with the nervous system. So then it's like, well, how? Well, now we got to create the new version of you. We got to go into meditation and visualization and practice being that version, and then we also need to act as if I'm that version today, so that my nervous system starts getting the message, oh, okay, it's actually safe to become that version of me. And then a lot of my work revolves around helping them understand there's a lot of back and forth. Yes, you're going to
Right.
shift to the identity quickly, but your nervous system is probably going to pull you back. You're going to be in some stressful situations where you forget everything you learned and you still reacted versus responded, right? And so a lot of it is, hey, it's okay. That's actually expected. It's quite normal that you're on the right path. Just keep
Mm-hmm.
going. And so it's actually been evident this week with, well, depending on when this gets posted, it's been evident with the situations that have been going on in the US with
Mm-hmm.
politicians, and people have come to me and they're like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to regulate. And so one of the things is they've been actually trying for so long to like chill out and like not let anything upset them. And then when something major happens, for one, there's collective energy, but for two, if the nervous system use it as an opportunity to just go back to how it was. It's like this
Right.
release, right? And it's like, okay, we can be sympathetic without being empathetic, meaning I can feel the sadness for this person and situation and everybody involved without taking it on to be mine, right? Like, don't be an empath. I made up a word. Don't be an empath, be a sympath, right? Like, I can feel for
Ah.
them. It doesn't make me any less human. I can feel for them, but I don't need to take it on as I would have for days and weeks and maybe even months, which is truly just the
Yes.
nervous system just trying to pull us back to how it was. And it's like one of the ladies said, I almost feel like my values were attacked. And I'm like, yeah, that's your nervous system telling you, see, all this work you've been doing, it's for nothing. The world is still crap. Why don't you just go back to being, in fight or flight? And I'm like, that's
Mm.
just your nervous system, baby. Like, the world is still a good place. There's still plenty of good things happening. But we constantly have to do this work, because let me tell you, I've been doing this work day in and day out. I preach it, I sleep on it, I do it, I meditate. But if I skip a day or two, it's like brushing teeth, things are starting to shift backwards. Like, you cannot skip brushing teeth for a day. Don't skip this work either. It's just it's that powerful in our brain.
Yeah, and it's so important to remember that I always say it's like putting in the reps, which people understand when it comes to weight training, right? Put in the reps, get stronger, add weight, put in the reps, get stronger, go to the gym. But when it comes to mindset work or regulation or anything like that, it's like it's the exact same thing, right? You will get better and stronger and fitter, faster, whatever the words you want to use if you put in the reps. And that's across the board. I mean, that's money reps, that's relationship reps, that's communication reps. I mean, they're all the same. And I also think you have to remember too that don't be afraid to have some fallbacks, right? I mean, I say this all the time. I have teenage daughters, and I've never had teenage daughters before as a parent, obviously. So I make mistakes, and so I have to say I'm sorry to them often because sometimes so it's like you can do all the work and you can work really hard at doing it, but you're never going to be perfect. And if you don't continue to put in the reps, you're going to have to say you're sorry or go back back to square one when you're starting and working. So I love that. And I love the idea of what you said about, that the kindness. And I think that's so true, when it comes to, boundaries, or comes to, where you're in a situation where you are saying no when you never said no before. You don't have to be a dick about it. You just have to be very strong to put those boundaries in place. And the problem, of course, is that people aren't used to your boundaries. So they're probably going to push back, right? They're going to be like, wait a second, you always said yes to this, or you always told me that was okay. And so they'll push back. They'll, ask lots of questions. And so, but that's a them problem, not a you problem. And so that's the other part of all of this, where I think it comes down to, we often say the only thing you can control is yourself, right? Your thoughts, your feelings, what you put in your mouth, that kind of thing. And so even when the world's a crazy place, or even when, relationships are falling apart, or whatever's going on around you, for you to become, I always say Lndsay 2.0 or Leks 2.0 or 5.0 or whatever level you're on now, you will probably lose some things around you in that process, because you can't become a better version of yourself by staying in the back of where you were before. And so it's such a powerful thing, but it's scary too, right?
It's always scary for the nervous system, because the nervous system is there to just go, is this safe or is it not? Is it safe or is it not? And on the first sign that it may not be safe, it's like, no, we're not going to do that. That's why we're constantly like, feel the fear and do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway, And the thing that you said on boundaries, I always remind my girls, like, your people around you, not only that they're not used to their boundaries, you got to understand that in their subconscious mind, in their brain, they're getting the alarm of something's shifting, something's different, something's changing. I want things to go back to how they were. So they keep trying to put you back, and you're like, no, I've changed. And it's really hard when you're recovering people pleaser and you're like used to saying no, to first establish the boundary. Like, it's already nerve-wracking for the first time you're doing it, and then to enforce it, it's like, damn it, I already told you this, and now you're making me repeat it. It's like everything's starting my stomach. You just know you're going to have to repeat it. But just like that, you said, some people are not going to stay there. Some things are going to shift, and they have to, because it's like this. You have a building, and it's been built on a shaky foundation. You have to tear down the whole building, and it seems so messy in the moment of demolition. Even when you start building it, it still looks like a mess. Like, when you ever seen construction, you're like, I don't even know what they're doing here. They don't even look like a mess, right? Only when the building is fully like starting to form, you're like, oh, I see where this is going. But if you just focus on the demolition part, it's going to look like a mess. That's what it looks like sometimes in our lives when it seems like things are falling apart. Well, when you are stepping into the new identity, some things are guaranteed to fall apart, because they have to. They absolutely have to, in order to create the path for the new you.
Yeah, I love that analogy, because I think everybody understands when you look at a construction site and you're like, what is even happening over there? I don't understand.
Right?
And then next thing you're like, oh, it's this beautiful, 18-story building. Wonderful. So yeah, I think that's amazing. Well, obviously you and I could probably talk about this for hours, but let's wrap it up here. Where can people find you if they're listening and they're like, oh my gosh, Leks, this is amazing. I'm super interested in learning more. Where can they find you? And I also understand that you're offering everybody a free gift today. So what would that be?
So my website is Leks.pro. That's Leks.pro. I mean, you can Google my name. It's pretty uniquely spelled, so I'm going to come up, Leks Vucko. That my website is where I show freebies, free offers, and things like that. But for this call, I would love to offer a free gift, which is a complimentary call. I call it a self-discovery call, and it started as an onboarding call for my clients, and I started offering it to people, and now it's a paid, but today I'm offering it for free. It's a self-discovery call, because I asked you 5 questions in different areas of your life, and you leave the call knowing exactly where you're stuck and why.
Yes, I love that. I love that. So for anybody who is looking, all of the website and information is going to be in the show notes, so you can take a look at that. You don't have to remember what her name was. That's okay. Don't worry. Don't panic. But we appreciate, of course, the free offer for everybody who's watching this. And again, guys, this is a paid offer usually, so take full advantage of it. And who doesn't want to know exactly where they're stuck? And yes, of course, you got to figure out what to do from there. But the idea is that a lot of people sit here and they wonder, what is wrong, or why am I stuck, or why am I repeating, and why am I going into this same circle every single time, right? We all been there. We all know what I'm talking about. So that's what this call will help you with. It will really kind of find that space. So anyways, thank you so much, Leks, for joining me today. I very much appreciate you coming on. And for everybody who has any questions, please reach out. I will put all the details on how to connect with her in the show notes, so you can absolutely find her. And again, thank you so much. Have yourself a fantastic day, and we'll speak to you guys
Thanks
soon.
for having
Take care.
me. Bye.
Bye.